Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Who could that zero with a line through it possibly be referring to? I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD. Welcome, in the spirit of the next 3 weeks of WWE programming, to a pre-recorded, not live review of WWE Monday Night Raw on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please do press the subscribe button. Give us a comment down below with what you thought of this episode of Monday Night Raw, and give us a thumbs up and all that good jazz as well. And apologies that we are not live. We're just having some internet issues in the building at the moment, so we didn't want to risk going live and then the internet's not working for us.
Yeah, because Wi-Fi is affected by the weather. I think when it gets too windy, the signal gets blown around.
I said this on our Christmas party that we went out for, that the second that it starts raining in this country in winter, the overground just completely shuts down.
You know that's not connected to the internet.
No, I'm just saying that as a country...
Right, I see.
As a country, we are just very much affected by more rain than we usually get, or a little bit more colder than it usually is.
And I think I've heard that WWE, similar reason why they are also pre-recording. They've got internet issues, so they're just pre-recording Raw and SmackDown 3 weeks ahead.
Well, you've got to save all that bandwidth for the Netflix debut, because we saw what happened when they streamed something last time.
So we're going to start off talking about a 20-second graphic that was on the episode, and in fact it actually morphed into the Netflix logo with Raw and stuff. It was a circle in red, like sort of etched in. It felt like it was burning, but there were no sound effects to insinuate flames, and it had a line drawn through the middle of it. And I mean, do you want to take some guesses other than the obvious?
That it's Penta.
It's always Penta.
Yeah, and I think more likely, I think we're in agreement, it's Pentagon Jr.
It could be, I mean, who else is free agent? Could be Tessa Blanchard. She's not signed with TNA.
No, I mean, speaking of, could be Jordan Grace.
Could be Speedball Mike Bailey. Could be a really weird repackaging of Joe Hendry on the main roster.
Well, yeah, I mean, Joe's likely going to stick around with TNA. He's probably going to win their world title in the January pay-per-view.
Could be Rhino.
It could be
Rhino's finished up with TNA now.
Kushida. He's also finishing up with them.
Trent Seven.
Oh,
that's a number. And it was a zero.
It's a zero.
Like next week, we'll get one. It's one.
Yeah.
And then the week after, two. Until Trent Seven comes out at number 8 in the Royal Rumble.
We're waiting for Tyler Bate to come back. Pete Dunne can stop feuding with R-Truth. More on that in a little bit.
Butch, please.
And then we'll get British Strong Style back together on the main roster as a trio unit.
I also thought it could be an O rather than a 0. Obafemi.
Okada, right? Obafemi, yeah.
Obafemi.
Yeah. I think more likely it's Pentagon Jr.
Yes, it's definitely Pentagon Jr. So the story of Penta for the last 6 months, it was back in July, him and his brother Ray Phoenix and their other Newcastle brother, Pac, were in the running and the plans to win the Trios Championships. But then, reportedly, Penta started telling friends, screw this place, I'm going to WWE.
I should say, this is what 547 reported. It's also what I've heard from a few people that, what happened was Penta got very vocal in the AEW locker room that he had signed with WWE, and which is actually, I think the thing that people don't talk about this enough is, well, isn't that contract tampering then? Because you were under contract with AEW and you're loudly vocalizing, I've been negotiating with WWE, here's our current creative plans, and this is what we're going to be doing when we're done with these AEW contracts. We're going straight to WWE as a package deal.
It's not contract tampering when you're hot enough as a promotion and people don't mind.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You can also add time onto people's contracts for periods they missed due to injury. You can't do that if you're not hot.
Yes.
Because people will go against you for that.
No, but if you're ice cold, people will go against you for it. But it doesn't matter because it's just a long line in the of things that people are angry about you as a company. He's like, well, they're angry at us anyway. We'll just add this on as well.
So Penta's saying that, and his contract expires. I think it was recently, wasn't it? It was last month. It was November. He's removed from the official roster page on AEW.
Yeah, he had some time added to his contract as well due to time injury, about 6 to 8 weeks. Phoenix, on the other hand, because he was out for a much longer period than Penta, is currently under contract there till about like mid next year.
Yeah. So any plans that WWE had to debut the Lucha Bros together, because of course they're real life brothers and tag team partners, former AEW tag team champions.
Did I tell you what I heard the plans were?
I mean, you always said that they were going to debut, but they didn't, so they just called up the Motor City Machine Guns from TNA instead.
Different to that. So what I was told the plans were going to be was it was going to be the Lucha Bros versus Cody and Roman.
God damn, that's a big... What?
Yeah.
Instead of the new bloodline?
Well, it's one of the matches that apparently Cody was really pitching to do was him and Roman versus the Lucha Bros. And this has only come from one person, so like I've spoken to a few people like, that sounds about right, but I can't confirm either way. Roman kind of pushed against it and be like, why would we do that and just beat them?
Yeah.
Because the idea was that they would do a tag match where the Roman and Cody would win, and that would spin off into Cody versus Penta for the WWE Championship, which Cody would then win. And Roman was like, why would we just do that when we're just going to win all the time?
Very interesting. For that rub, brother. Give him the rub.
Yeah.
So that didn't happen. They didn't debut. There's been a lot of sort of ill feelings from Phoenix towards AEW. He's accused AEW of inhumane treatment, of not letting him wrestle or denying him medical treatment.
Yeah,
it seems to be quite a mess. I don't think either side looks particularly good in it.
No, it's very murky because Phoenix is saying that he was requested to see a doctor and was not given like the access to seeing a doctor. But the Fightful Select report was he was seen by a doctor. It's just that he wanted to get cleared to be wrestled. Yeah, which wasn't possible.
So Phoenix isn't around. So whatever WWE plans they had for the Lucha Bros ain't gonna happen for at least half a year. It sounds like, with Phoenix still under contract in AEW. But Penta is a free agent. He appeared at a AAA show, didn't he, over the weekend? So he is ready to come in. And it looks like this is the first part. I would say just the way it morphed into the Netflix bit means this is a January 6th debut.
That is what I took from it as well. The fact that they ran into each other suggests to me that, Penta is coming in and he's debuting on the Netflix episode.
Which is huge. That's a really big spot to come in at. Kind of, either it means that Netflix Raw is going to have a bit of that Raw after, that Ram vibe, that Raw after Mania, where it's also a soft reset for the whole company. You get NXT call-ups, you get heel turns, you get people switching brands, you get brand new stars as well.
And big matches. They announced Roman versus Solo was announced on this show. Punk versus Rollins was announced on this show, both to be happening on the Netflix thing. According to Ebu of WrestlePurist, the Rhea Liv match, though not announced on this show, will be on that Netflix debut.
So you'll also have Penta. Hopefully, I mean, I would hope they don't do loads of debuts. I would hope that, because when was the last time we got vignettes and it was a really big deal when they debuted? I guess the Wyatt Six as a whole faction.
Probably, yeah.
But then the Wyatt Six, they immediately just became, it's an act we'll pop out on TV when we need an undercard feud, essentially.
Yeah, this is going to be a much, like, a big singles run.
Well, you hope so.
You'd hope so.
Because usually with WWE, if you're Mexican, you're going to join a group of Mexicans to feud with other Mexicans.
Yeah, I mean, my hope is it looks like New Day are going to be tangled up with the LWO, like Ray and Dragon Lee for a little bit, like doing some tag stuff there, which means that Penta can't feud with Dragon Lee or the LWO. And if he's going to be debuting on Raw, then that probably means he's not going to be feuding with Andrade over on SmackDown. So perhaps maybe he'll just come in and
feud with Whack 'Em Wild.
Do an open challenge thing with Bron Breakker or something like that.
I think that's the sort of level you want to bring him in at. I mean, I didn't know about those Cody Rhodes pitches before you said it, but debuting him in a program like that would be huge. Cody's in a feud with Kevin Owens right now. We don't know when that next chapter will be. I sort of had a gut feeling it would be on that Netflix show, though.
I think so. I think that's when he makes his return.
Yeah, I feel like Cody's been ridden off TV by the package pile driver, have some time off over Christmas, returns on January 6th.
Yep.
But maybe it's not against Kevin Owens. Maybe Penta interrupts Cody's big return segment when you think it's going to be Kevin Owens, red herring. And then you've got this story of two guys going for Cody's championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually not a bad shout. And also, that really establishes Penta as a big deal going straight into a WWE championship program.
But I've always said it. I think he is worthy of that spot. For his whole run in AEW, I'm like, seriously, this guy, you could pop in the main title program and it will be okay.
Yeah.
And like the very worst thing is it's really a really good match and people cheer and do his things. The best case scenario is he becomes a proper top tier main eventer, just like he was going into All In, the first All In 2018.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, certainly around that time because he was having that great run in Impact Wrestling and was like really, because he had that match with Sami Callihan. He was really making a name for himself.
He faced Kenny.
Yep.
On All In.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the best matches of the night.
So awesome. And that was kind of, positioned as very much a dream match type thing of, best of New Japan versus Pentagon Jr. Like, that's a real big deal. I think the only potential negative to putting Penta straight into a Cody program is this Cody Owens feud is so hot at the moment. Do you need to add in
that's the problem.
That third wheels him a little bit, which I think might work against him. Like going straight into that sort of deal.
Yeah, it's difficult. If you were going to have Cody versus Owens on the 6th of January Raw, and Cody wins, but then he's attacked by Pentagon afterwards, and that doesn't feel narratively satisfying either.
Yeah, like especially if you're going to spin that off into Owens and Orton, because that's probably going to be the Mania direction. You'd imagine is Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, and that's their singles match that they get.
Well, we'll see. I think we can. In my predicting 2025 video, I had Penta coming out as the first entrant in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
But it went from like 1 to 0. Miedo! And he comes out. But I'm okay with it being January 6th.
Here's my question to you. And I'm basing this upon the reaction that the Motor City Machine Guns got when they came in and are still getting now. Do you think that the WWE audience are A, going to know who Pentagon Jr. is, which means they'll join in with the Zero Miedo, or do you think that it will just take a little while for them to kind of like acclimatize to it? Or do you think he comes in and it's just like everyone just knows who he is and it is like Lex Luger showing up on the Nitro debut?
I think somewhere in between. I think a portion of... 40-50% of people will definitely know who he is in the arena.
I think it's less than that.
But whatever it is, he is so charismatic. He's got such a cool look. He's got the easy... He does it like 20 times a match. 0. People are going to catch on pretty fast what they have to chant along with.
Or you just bake it into the entrance theme.
Yeah. 0. Miedo. 0. Miedo. 0. Miedo. And one thing, I feel like Rey Mysterio did so much for lucha wrestling in WWE, but also kind of limited it at the same time, where Rey's so great, but his charisma comes from being a one-dimensional babyface. There's nothing really to him as a character beyond his interactions with Dom, which is fine. Like it's the in-ring stuff that is really impressive. But then I feel like all WWE have never known how to handle masked wrestlers in the time since. Either they unmask them immediately, or they keep them under the mask and they're just this sort of template Rey Mysterio clone.
Yeah.
Penta, I feel like it's impossible to make him a Rey Mysterio clone because even under the mask, he's just got so much energy that comes out of him.
Here's what I'm thinking. This has only just occurred to me now, so I just want to pitch this to you. And I'm also going to give the caveat to I do understand what this also means for the other half of this story, which is January 6th. Maybe you do it before this anyway, because I think you kind of want to wrap this up. You do the Chad Gable Otis match, which they could have picked back up on this episode of Raw to be like, oh yeah, we didn't do that match, did we? Got to do Chad Gable versus Otis. Once that's done, that's Penta's first feud in WWE is him versus Chad.
Oh, because Chad's the new Dolph Ziggler, and everyone must feud with.
Well, it's kind of like he is Mr. Reliable. Of like, you put him in the ring with Chad Gable, you're going to have an awesome match that's going to showcase the best of Pentagon Jr. Plus, Chad kind of loses nothing by losing to Penta, but Penta kind of gains a lot by feuding and beating Chad Gable. I do understand that doesn't benefit.
I don't like it.
It doesn't benefit Gable in any way, and I'm quite.
I don't think it benefits Penta either.
I'm quite ready for WWE to start utilizing Chad more than just you are the guy that gets other people over. But I do think it would be a really good first feud for Penta in there.
No, it slots him in right at that level. Like,
Maybe.
unfortunately, Chad Gable, was a okay mid-carder earlier in the year. He's a total undercarder now.
Yeah, I guess so.
And if you put Penta in, here's your first feud. It's like, okay, Penta is boom there.
You're right.
Whereas you can start, I'm not saying book him against Cody. I'd love that. But if you enter him immediately into a title picture or an established veteran and he wins that program, you only get one chance of the first impression.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I think that was me looking.
He
at
should
it
win the
more-
Royal Rumble.
That was me looking at it from a fan mindset of, as a personal fan mindset of like, I think Chad Gable is a big deal, but you're looking at it as a more pragmatic. No, WWE see him as an undercard guy,
And the fans do. He's been beaten all year. You can't bring in someone and then go, oh, now take this guy seriously who's going to beat Chad Gable. Who's Chad beaten?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But yeah, let's get in with the whole show. No chats, of course, today. We started with a CM Punk promo. Well, actually, we got a sort of replay of what happened on Saturday night's main event first. And we
Good
got
show.
footage of the package pile driver.
Yes. Which they put up on WWE's YouTube channel after, the show ended, and then they put up some stuff on social media and onto YouTube, because that's kind of their new gimmick now, right? Is to try and get those social numbers up massive by doing angles that are kind of social exclusive. It's really smart.
Yeah, maybe it undermines certain serious aspects of the real feud.
Yeah, do you reckon?
Well, 45 million views.
Well, on this show, yes. I'm talking more about like the business mind idea of like putting this stuff onto social media and putting it onto YouTube, where it might be seen by more people than would have seen it on a primetime special on NBC.
They can't help themselves, though.
But they can't help themselves, because I think it kind of does then undermine it when later on Joe Tessitore is just like, look how many social media numbers we got, because I kind of think it makes your company look slightly lame if you're talking about how great your viewership is.
We'll get into that later.
So it's the same thing I used to have against Don Callis on New Japan commentary, when he kept talking about how many 5-star matches New Japan's had this year.
The episode opened with CM Punk coming out to Boston, Canada, and he got a big reaction. He said he's in a bad mood about the tension with him and Seth. He did a little Seth impression, and he did the tiptoes, and he did the laugh. I thought it was pretty spot on.
Yeah. I felt like this was written for you.
I know. Voice of the voiceless is CM Punk. Because he said his crappy music's going to hit and he's going to interrupt me. Punk said, look, there's no bad students, only bad teachers. So I'm going to offer Seth another wrestling lesson for free, which is insinuating like, I'm going to kick your ass in the wrestling ring. But Seth doesn't come out, so he gets the crowd to chant his name, CM Punk, CM Punk. Seth walks out the crowd. He's dressed pretty normally for Seth standards. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's Punk also said he criticized Seth for dressing like Liberace.
But it's okay. It's okay to dress like Liberace if that's what you want to dress like.
It made me laugh so much. It's totally fine to do that.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm not against anything like that.
At the weekend, I had a really funny story. My friend has an ear pierced. He got his ear pierced recently, and he was in Claire's Accessories to get it done. And the lovely woman, I don't know, in her mid-40s, said to him, which ear would you like it in? And he was like, oh, I don't know. She said, just because, there's certain things, if you have the right ear pierced, that means a certain thing. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And just not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah,
I felt that with the Liberace thing. Yeah.
There was one episode of After Dark. It is one of the funniest things I've ever heard Dave Bradshaw say, where he was talking about he wanted to get his eyebrow pierced when he was in his 20s, but he wanted to make sure he didn't get the one that is like the quote unquote the gay side, because it's like, I mean, I am gay, but like I'm not gay.
Punk was trying to make a point there, though, that Seth is trying to do impressions of Liberace or CM Punk rather than he's a copy of him.
I didn't think this was a great Punk promo, and I felt that the crowd weren't really along for it either. I think making references to Liberace, who I think died 3 decades ago, probably doesn't help matters.
It felt quite like a Vince era pop culture reference.
Yeah. So I don't think this didn't work for me completely as a promo. And I think I'm not alone in that because the crowd weren't hugely into this either. But they really picked up when Seth came out. Like Seth was beloved by this crowd. And I thought Seth was really, really great in this because I think he kind of shut down a lot of what CM Punk was saying in a very effective way. Because he comes out and Punk's like, oh, you're right there where you belong with the fans. And Rollins is like, well, yeah, I am a fan. Why do you look down on fans? This is a good thing, is to be a wrestling fan. I love pro wrestling. And that kind of made CM Punk look like an absolute dick.
Yeah, it did. And Seth said, look, this fan has more WrestleMania main events than you ever will.
Which is clearly the trigger thing for CM Punk at the moment, because nothing else that he said made him angry, but that, I've made a better WrestleMania. Stormed out the ring to go beat him up.
It's got some weird trigger points, hasn't it? That, the word moveset. I don't know what else to call it. I was trying to think about it in my news today. I made a joke about it, where I was like, oh, I shouldn't say moveset. I was like, there's no other way to this, an arsenal of moves? That sounds worse.
Well, it's, we're a generation that grew up on wrestling games. And in wrestling games, they're called movesets.
Yeah.
And it's not just from wrestling games. It's from fighting games as well, is that you have a moveset and you have you do these inputs to do the moves as part of your moveset.
Is he denying the idea that wrestlers have movesets? Or does he just not like the word moveset?
Or is it because... maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. I'm onto my jump to conclusions, Matt. If anyone is a fan of Office Space, and you should be, the film is fantastic. Do you think it's because his finishing move was taken from somebody else, and a lot of people point that out? I didn't steal his moveset, all right?
So Rollins also says, that's a fact. Phil. Oh, the disrespect saying his real name. And they start brawling. I thought it was a good brawl.
Really
it started hot, and then they pulled them apart, and I was like, oh, this is still going on. There's a bit of brawl fatigue in WWE for me at the moment. There's a lot of brawls, pull-apart brawls.
Did 2 of them on this show.
Yeah. But then it got really good again when they just sprinted at each other through the crowd.
I thought this segment really picked up when Rollins came out.
Yes.
And I thought that Punk in this brawl was awesome. I thought Punk's intensity in the brawl and his storming out of the ring to go after Seth was really, really cool. I thought Seth was great in this segment. I'm kind of turning a little bit of a corner on Seth at the moment. It's struck with me while I was watching this show is that while I do not love the performance at times, I don't get excited for Seth Rollins matches. I don't get excited for Seth Rollins promos. I don't get excited for Seth Rollins segments. But I do think he is one of WWE's best characters. And it kind of really sort of started from the build to War Games, where he was like, no, I'm not going to team with Roman. Why would I do that? And it was a brilliant red herring to bring back CM Punk. And later on, when Drew comes up to him and is like, me and you are the same. We're alike. And Seth's like, no. Sammy and Jay are my friends. You and I are nothing alike. I thought that was really... I was like, oh, you're actually a really good character, a very consistent character. So while I might not vibe with everything, I don't love your presentation and the sort of the laugh and the music and this and the other. I do think he's a very compelling character on TV that I like to see.
Yeah, and I actually do like his wrestling performances. I think he's a great promo. It's so annoying then to me that he has to have all these sprinkles on top that are so off-putting, like the music, like the laugh, like the promo style, and like the dress.
Yeah.
I wanted to stop. Anyway, good opening segment.
Yeah.
Judgment Day, backstage, Finn's annoyed with Liv that no one helped him in the Saturday night's main event title match. And they're like, well, you said you had it covered. And Raquel says, listen to Finn and you win.
Yeah, this is the second that Judgment Day came on screen, they were in the den. I switched off a little bit. I was more distracted by Carlito in the background, wondering why they've not got the season pass for 2K24 and he's not unlocked.
Then we get a really good bit where Seth is arguing with Adam Pearce backstage about the Punk brawl, and then Drew walks into shot.
Yeah.
It's happening. Drew is the Nick Fury of the new WWE initiative, sword.
Do you think that's the big angle they do on the Raw Netflix debut is like this new faction forms together?
It could be. That would be a nice thing, for new viewers. Oh, these guys are all together. I saw their origin. I don't know when you do it, but I think it's. I feel like it's the direction they're going because Seth said, "Look, I'm friends with Jey Uso and Sammy.
Yeah.
The jury's still out on you."
Yeah, I fought.
He never turned him down.
That's it. I fought alongside them to try and take down Roman Reigns. I respect them. Yeah, it's that line of the jury's still out on you. So it's not an outright denial. But I do like consistently as a character, he didn't just flip-flop and be like, yeah, I also hate Sammy and Jay, because that would be inconsistent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so everyone's characters in the men's division have so much attention given to them that they are having proper character arcs as opposed to, I hate you now because I'm bad.
Yeah. He had a great line where he was like, we have a common enemy, but we're not friends. I like that.
And he left by saying, now I'm going to go do something you couldn't do. End CM Punk. And Drew just goes, okay. Like he's like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's see you try.
Then we got Bron Breakker versus Ludwig Kaiser in a long match. Not I'm criticizing it. I'm just surprised that I got a substantial match on Raw.
Do you think it's because they were taping 2 episodes?
Possibly. Yes. Yeah, you're probably right.
So rather than do like 5 matches on this show, you do 4 matches on this show, 4 matches on the next show, but they're all given some semblance of time to try and make it so you're not just like trying to pepper through this or like speed through this.
This was about 20 minutes in the end. I really enjoyed the match. Ludwig Kaiser worked over Bron Breakker, so you got to see Kaiser's threatening technical side. He's working over Bron's left arm, but you also got to see Invincible Smash Bron's selling side, which you don't get to see that often. And
like
he worked
the one-arm comeback.
Yeah, he worked the whole match with one arm down. I thought it was... I really enjoyed this match, and Bron eventually wins with his one-arm spear. But I thought Kaiser looked good in defeat here.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought this was great.
And I like that Sheamus didn't interfere to cause another DQ.
Because it was a title match, I was expecting the Sheamus attack after the match, or like the Sheamus return. But I guess we're saving that off as well. But I thought this was very, very good.
Yeah. We got the New Day arriving backstage. They're going to go into their locker room, and Rey Mysterio walks out of that locker room and says, it's best if you don't come in here, guys.
Perfect character to use this as Rey Mysterio, the veteran, the locker room leader, the man that everyone respects. Rey Mysterio comes out and also ties into the match he had with Woods on Raw a few months back. I thought this was great, and it brilliantly sets up New Day versus Rey and Dragon Lee as a series of tag matches that you can do, which I'm well in for.
And it's again like a normal pro wrestling angle would have people screaming at each other. You did this to Biggie. That's why you're not allowed in there. But it's not that energy. Rey comes out and just like, look, guys, we can't have you in here.
Yeah.
We're so disappointed. And it's more crushing. Kofi as well. I'm really enjoying his work as a heel. Because we know what Woods is like already. He's kind of been doing it for half a year already. But Rey starts to just say something in Spanish. And Kofi immediately goes, huh? And I watched, there's a video clip of them after the show just roasting people outside, like fans outside. Nice. And Kofi's trash talking is just non-stop.
What I really like as well about this new era of WWE and this new regime is it's the restraints, actually. It's we had the heel turn a few weeks back, but they've not had matches. They've only had like one in-ring segment. It's all just been these small little things, but they're keeping the plate spinning. They're not off TV. They're on there. They're just in this one little backstage segment here, just to remind you, here we are, and here's the next step. They're now not allowed in the locker room. A couple of weeks before, it's like Cody is disappointed in them. They're very good at keeping plates spinning while not overexposing certain characters.
There also might be a bit of smart psychology to this because Kofi, I know he went to Boston University, so there might be some hometown support for him. So keep them away, just in case you get cheers from the crowd. Yeah. Because, this is a precious thing. They are so hated right now. You don't want them to suddenly become the cool people to cheer, even though they're villains. So the New Day have to now find somewhere else to change. They are outcasts from all of WWE.
Like the Miz in 2006.
even though they didn't technically hit Big E.
Well,
Kevin Owens, meanwhile.
That's it. It's like, and it plays into the New Day thinking that they are right. We actually didn't do anything. Like, hey, why do you hate us? We didn't hit him. We just said no.
Kevin Owens just tried to break Cody Rhodes' neck.
Yeah. Yeah, and you cheered him.
So we go into a recap of Cody and KO and all that stuff again. And it comes back from the video package, which is really well done.
Really, yeah.
You didn't see the Triple H stuff, but the package pile driver is a thing of beauty. Cody's selling, the stretcher job, and Joe Tessitore. We are very happy to announce that Cody Rhodes is going to be at home recovering because they didn't find any fractures in the neck. But this is very, very serious. But wow, the video got 45 million views on social media combined. And they show this graphic that has all the text and then more than 45 million views in red with an exclamation mark. So yes, definitely smart business practice. Put these angles not on your main show so people have to share it online and you get buzz and marketing that way. But don't bring in this PR stuff into the kayfabe nature of the program and do a press release.
I don't know if you've heard, but WWE is hot right now, and they're getting loads of social media views. So we need to announce these things on TV.
I've just seen the New Day. People won't change with them in character because of the awful things they've done. Here's an awful thing Kevin Owens has done. It's more awful than what the New Day did to Big E.
Whoa. But it's not like they were praising Kevin Owens for doing it. They just said
it
did.
But hey, 45 million views.
What did Triple H say in that McMahon documentary? Who's more sick? The people that are doing it or the people that are watching it?
Joe Tessitore is the moral voice of Raw because he's the lead play-by-play announcer. He shouldn't then be going, oh man, but the views. There's a way to deliver this line without it coming off this way.
I don't think there is, because the angle was supposed to be so devastating that it's written Cody off TV. The WWE champion for so much time. There is not a good way to transition into, and it got 45 million views across lots of social media platforms.
It's been so shocking that the interest and the sickening actions of Kevin Owens that it's been viewed 45 million times. That's how people feel about this Cody Rhodes thing, and it's despicable. Can't believe it. They didn't deliver it in that way, though, did they? They even had pre-prepared text with an exclamation mark on 45 million views. Yeah. That tells me that the promotion doesn't believe in this angle, which is bewildering because you've just had 2 months of them really sensitively building this story and not even showing certain angles on WWE TV because it's too brutal to show. We're not going to show footage of that. But now, whoa, in red, exclamation mark.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to take your wins, haven't you? Not on tap, though.
Really good War Raiders promo, though.
Great War Raiders promo.
Yeah, Ivar and Eric just pre-filmed. They're going through their comeback from injury and everything, and all the health problems they've had.
Yeah, wasn't able to lift up his son because the injuries that he sustained from wrestling. Kind of when they cut this promo, I was like, oh, you're winning the tag titles tonight, aren't you? And about bloody time as well.
Then. Not Kevin Kelly, Kathy Kelly talks to Adam Pearce, and Pearce announces that it's going to be Punk versus Seth for the Netflix debut episode, which will join Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa for the Ulu Fala.
Yeah, so that sort of was a big thing of here's the new Raw logo, here's one of the big matches, the first big match that we're announcing for this, and here's another big match that we're announcing for this.
Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Dominic Mysterio come down. Dom gets loads of heat. Sounded real, but also sounded kind of weirdly piped in.
Honestly, I could not care less. Again, much like with the backstage segment, when they came out, I was immediately, I tuned out mentally. We're at the end of the year now. This is one of our last Raw podcasts. I think this is our last Raw podcast we're going to be doing this year as well.
Maybe we're doing New Year's Eve. I can't remember what we said. Maybe we said no. Maybe it's the last one.
It's either our last one or it's our penultimate episode, Raw review of 2024. They are the worst faction in WWE of 2024. They are the worst storyline of wrestling in 2024. All of wrestling in 24. I actually think, okay, sorry, scratch
That's
that.
not what Liv said.
Scratch that. They are the worst faction in all of professional wrestling. They are the worst storyline in all of professional wrestling. She is the worst world champion in all of professional wrestling. They are the worst promo in all of professional wrestling. This group sucks. And I really, they have changed the channel heat with me at the moment. I would rather watch R-Truth and Pete Dunne have a never-ending feud than watch these guys come out and cut the same promo every single week in the same cadence and the same delivery, and then for Rhea Ripley to come out and announce another smegging match between these two. Come January 6th, this is all over. And I cannot wait for this to be all over.
Well, Liv disagrees. She said that she's the best wrestler of 2024.
She's been saying this like all year long.
I actually think she's a very good promo. When she the way she performs her character and stuff, the interactions with Dom.
She's the female Seth Rollins. She says a line and then goes, "I'm a great wrestler."
Oh, it doesn't bug me when she does it for some reason.
Yeah, I find it insufferable.
But she's not booked well. And her in-ring performances leave a lot to be desired, I'd say.
I think I should caveat as well with my big proclamations that I just said then, which I appreciate are
United
hot takes.
Empire, right? Not United Empire. I can't remember that name.
The Undisputed Kingdom.
Undisputed Kingdom.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, the problem is I can't say that they are worse than this because they're not on TV enough. These guys are on TV all the smegging time and have been for like 2.5 years. I should say as a caveat for my hot take, it is just personal opinion on my part, so you feel free to disagree with me all you want. It is nothing on the people that are involved in this. They are booked to be a worst faction. They are booked to be the worst storyline. She is booked to be the worst world champion, and she's booked to have the worst world championship matches. And I put nothing on this on Liv. I think that Liv is a totally fine performer, but she's given garbage material to deal with and garbage storylines, and they are just a garbage group with garbage booking. And that is not really the fault of Raquel Rodriguez or JD McDonough or Carlito or any of them. They are my least favorite thing in all of professional wrestling.
It's a little bit Raquel's fault. She screwed up a few times.
She screwed up that one thing.
Changed the whole finish of the match, though. Rhea interrupts. She comes down. She said, "This has gone on long enough. It has. It's time they made it official. Adam Pearce has made her the #1 contender. Guess because she pinned her in War Games.
Yep.
Whatever." And she said that Dom is Liv's little chicken tender slut.
I could not care less.
So we didn't get an announcement of when that match is going to be. I feel like it's not on January 6th.
Well, that's what Ebro Wrestle Purist is saying, that it's on the January 6th episode.
Okay.
But
so
that is
title change there.
I said that on last week's show. I think I moved away from my Punk Gunther thing. I was like, you do Rhea and Liv there. But it's for me, it's the time to do it. Like, you cannot stretch this one out till WrestleMania. You should do Rhea versus Io for WrestleMania.
I've honestly watched this next segment backstage 3 or 4 times. Just the one bit where it's Seth and Jackie. Jackie's going to ask Seth about, you've just had the match made official against CM Punk for the January 6th Netflix Raw. And all the time she's asking this, you can see bang in the center of the frame from way in the distance, Drew McIntyre just marching towards them. Not at a run, not at a walk, but at a very steady, determined pace. And I'm just like, this is It Follows.
It Follows. I had the same thing. I was like, this is like watching It Follows.
Oh, and he looks so good. And then Sammy, like he's Madam Web driving a car, throws himself into Drew McIntyre to save Seth.
Yeah.
They have a little brawl. I really liked it, especially because Drew might have been marching over to Seth to say, I'd help you out in your match, mate.
Yeah. I think it's crucial that this happened in front of Seth Rollins. Okay, so Seth can see how Sammy is reacting to this scenario, because maybe that can fuel some of Seth's choices he's going to make. They have taped next week's episode of Raw, so if you want to avoid some spoilers, maybe skip ahead 10 seconds. But it is Sammy and Drew. It's Sammy and Drew next week. That's
a rematch.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's the main event for next week.
Oh, cool. I like that match at Saturday night as well.
Me too.
Then Miz is backstage, and he's with the Final Testament, sans Karrion Kross and
this.
Scarlett Bordeaux. It's good, isn't it? And he says, hey, well, we defeated White 6.
Yep. I guess that's my deal with you guys done. We're done with the Whites. I'm done with you. It's time for us to all part ways.
And Karrion Kross and Scarlett walk over and say, what are you talking about? And Miz says that. And Karrion goes, no. It's over when I say it's over. And you're going to have a match against Dexter Lumis next week.
Well, he says, who was the guy who kidnapped you? Dexter Lumis. Yeah, I think you should have a match with him next week.
Yeah.
In fact, why don't you go to Adam Pearce and make that match official for next week? Be a good little boy.
And this Brian Alvarez really laughed about this line where Miz is like, oh, I don't know. And Karrion Kross goes, you've won 22 titles. Doing the standard Miz promo back to Miz.
Yeah.
Karrion's work, good God, is otherworldly at the moment.
It's so great.
Like he used to, when he was in that NXT Championship run and, the whole first call-up thing, which was a disaster, he felt so one-dimensional as a performer. But now he's like one of the most charismatic promo guys in the company.
I would say that he felt one-dimensional in NXT, in his original NXT call-up, and his return to WWE, and his subsequent run in WWE up until the last 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe it's the start of the New Day feud, actually.
Which he began.
I think is like some of the best stuff that Karrion... It's the sort of stuff that... Because I've always felt really bad about, ragging on Karrion Kross on TV, because from what I gather and what I've heard, he's such a nice guy. Apparently he's a really lovely guy. So I really hate to be that dude online who sits there being like, yeah, but then the bell rings and his matches suck, and he's also in terrible storylines. But man, these last few months, in particular, the stuff with the Miz and the Wyatts, I think has been tremendous TV, and he is the best bit of it. Mm-hmm. Not to take anything away from the Miz, because I think the Miz is doing really good work in this as well. Karrion Kross is so awesome in all of these segments.
Miz walks off. I think Paul Ellering also goes like, look, I helped you win last week, so you owe us.
Helped you twice.
Yeah, so you owe us now. Faction's got too many managers again. Now that Ellering's back, it's like, because Karrion's sometimes a manager, so it's like AOP have 3 managers.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that's next week. Kaden Carter then took on Raquel Rodriguez and Zoe Stark in the Intercontinental Championship quarterfinals. This was our second match of the night, and it took place an hour and 15 minutes into the episode.
I know. I felt like it was an hour and 50 minutes since the last match.
Yeah.
It was a lot of talking in this. This had a real... oh, we're taping another episode after this vibe to it.
I thought they held the pace well, though. I didn't really jar with me. A lot of that's probably because they gave Kaiser and Breaker so much time.
Yeah, I think so. But when, because Raquel Rodriguez obviously in the ring from the Judgment Day segment they had earlier, which was actually quite a few segments previous and ad breaks. Then Zoe Stark makes her entrance. They go to another ad break and they come back, and or they went to a backstage segment, and then Kaden Carter came out. It was before Kaden came out. My note was going to be okay, which star's in this match then? I'm waiting for them to make their entrance of the star of this match. And then Kaden Carter came out. I was like, oh no. It's actually every time they have one of these matches, I'm reminded of how bad this bracket has been.
So it was a match, and Zoe Stark won by beating Kaden Carter with a pretty bad-looking Z360 or whatever it's called. So that protects Raquel. Raquel didn't take the pin, but also it moves PFC's Zoe Stark into the semis while she'll face Dakota Kai, who's in Damage Control, and they've got a long-running thing. Later on, the New Day are going to get interviewed backstage by Jackie Redmond, but another attack's happened. Zoe Stark has slammed Kairi Sane's hand in the production crate, and she's in the final of the 4 three-ways.
Yeah.
And I would say she was one of the only stars in the whole tournament. So she's probably getting replaced, right?
Well, I'd imagine so, yeah. And I'm trying to... because it's her and Natalia, and I'm trying to remember who the other person is. Because I would have said, this sets up Sonya Deville to fill that role. But Sonya Deville might already be in that match. So I'm just going to have a quick check to see if that is the case.
While you do that, I'll recap the American Alpha backstage segment. They're talking to R-Truth. American Alpha, if you haven't seen, they've set up their own website to recruit new members.
Oh, it's Alba Fire. So
Alba Fire.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
So I want her to win.
Oh, apparently.
No, I don't. No, I want Lyra Valkyria.
Oh, so it's not because it was taped on
so
that
it
show.
already happened.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is. I would actually say that is a big upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that this bracket has really needed.
Now she's my favourite
Yeah.
to win.
I would say that was probably the original plan before Rhea got hurt.
Well, we won't go into the spoilers, but looks good. Actually, should we? Because we're not here next week. Spoilers, just skip ahead for a couple of minutes. Io Sky is the replacement for Kairi Sane. Does she win?
Yes. So she wins her match, so she'll go on to face Lyra Valkyria in the
it's a good match.
In the semi-finals, and on the other side is Zoe Stark and Dakota Kai. And then, so I imagine, do you think that sets up then a Kai Sky final?
A Kai Sky final?
It's quite interesting. Sort of a Damage Control final in there.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that I'm pushing my Io Sky agenda for her to face Rhea Ripley for the world title at WrestleMania. If she's going to go into this Intercontinental title picture, that might pigeonhole her within that division.
Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair are coming. They don't care about Io Sky at that level.
Sorry, you're right. Because that means it's Rhea and Becky in the rematch for WrestleMania 41.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good for Io Sky, though.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's Zoe Stark versus Io Sky in the final for the Damage Control PFC payoff.
I think they were doing too much of a push on Dakota Kai to...
Yeah.
Well, I haven't said that. She lost her match last week.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm very glad it's not Natalya, because Sat was in the office last week being like, just put it on Natalya. Like, it's got the connection to Brett, it's got the connection to Owen, it's got the connection to Davey Boy. And I'm like, so the belt's a prop then. It's just a gimmick. So it means nothing if you're just giving it to Natalya for the sake of giving it to Natalya, because it would be a nice thing for Natalya to have. That's why the Unholy Union won the tag titles. It was a nice thing for them to win. The belts are props. They don't mean anything. I'd much rather put it on a star with a story.
American Alpha are backstage with R-Truth. I think he says Butch because he's working out, but Pete Dunne is always hovering around R-Truth. It's like he wants to be annoyed. And he says, "Did you say Butch?" And they have an argument. And that's when American Maid walk in, and Chad shouts at Otis and says he's going to, take him out, starting with Akira Tozawa first.
Yeah. Yeah, this really felt like did we finish that story? Did they do him? I don't think cage match. Did they have him? They never did it. Oh, we probably should do that. We should need to wrap that up because we might move them to SmackDown in the new year.
Yeah, that was August. They should have done Otis versus Chad, which was such a hot storyline back in August. Well, at least it's happening, I guess, and you can tie a little knot on it before they likely get split up in the draft, I'd say.
Yeah, although I joked about it earlier, but man, seeing Pete Dunne still feuding with R-Truth, I was like, what happened? Like, what? Why are we here?
Son of a Butch. Then we got the Red Circle thing that we spoke about with the Penta debut, potentially. Then we got the Kairi Sane attack backstage. And then we got the main event of the War Raiders versus Judgment Day, with the rest of Judgment Day banned from ringside. Ivar, he's a hometown boy, so he was super over. He's super over most of the time, though, just because he's so impressive. They run wild early. There's a ref distraction. Finn gets on top after the break. Ivar just makes a tag. No effort, really. Then Judgment Day work over Eric for a while. Ivar gets a huge hot tag pop. He's definitely the most over there. There's a coup de grace on Eric, but Ivar just breaks that up. Finn's frustrated. He goes outside to get a chair. But Damian Priest is there. He stops Finn from using the chair, but doesn't hit him or anything. So it's a cleanish finish. And Balor gets back inside. War Machine is hit on him, and the War Raiders win.
He does hurt Finn, though.
Does he?
Because he grabs the chair and he yanks the chair towards him, so Finn crashes into the barricade. And, and then Finn goes back into the ring. So it's not completely clean, but he didn't waffle in with the chair or anything like that. But yeah, this is further the Damian Priest and Finn Balor feud that everyone's super into at the moment. But it's great. Get the tag belts off the Judgment Day. They were doing nothing with it. Put it on the War Raiders. A much better team for this to be on.
Yeah. They started, I think they intended this celebration to be a lot bigger because pyro started to go off as my feed just stopped.
Well, it's on social media. That's why.
Yeah.
You'll get 45 million views or so.
I'm really happy for them.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the tag division now to actually get some focus.
Me too.
I think realistically they're going to be transitional champions for someone like the New Day to take it off them sharpish.
Maybe.
Unless the New Day go to SmackDown. But yeah.
Or it's just a case of they just hold the belt for another 6 months and defend it twice.
Oh, yes. That feels nice.
Yeah.
But overall, I enjoyed this show. Even though it was a tape show and a 2-hour show, I thought it was paced really well. Got two decent, substantial matches on there with the title change.
Mm-hmm.
The tease of Penta's exciting. Thought this was good stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid, fine episode of Monday Night Raw.
I gave it 77% overall.
Yeah, a good like 3 out of 5 episode of Raw.
We should say thank you to our wonderful pledge hammers on Patreon
We should
before we get out of here. Tell them what they can get if you sign up right now.
Head on over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to get a bunch of cool and exclusive episodes of our wonderful series that we do here. There's an exclusive episode of TLC going live this month where myself, Sullivan, Bo Brown, and Tempest go through the best wrestling attires, which is a really interesting, fun list to go through. And you can get mine and Ollie's concluding episode of our TNA WrestleTalk Extra run, looking at TNA's greatest rivalry, Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle. It is Lockdown 2008. It's their pretty much their best pay-per-view, their most successful pay-per-view they've ever done, because it's got an incredible build to it. I'm really excited to go through this one with you because while it's got that awesome main event, has they got some guff in that undercard. It's got some Vince Russo stink in there.
We've got more shout-outs than usual, so strap in because the AEW one didn't work last week. So thank you, WrestleTalk's personal problem solver, Jamie Donovan.
John Jenkinson, son of Jenker.
The heir to the throne, Kate Ayers.
King of the Casino Gauntlet, Kyra Soltari.
Manipulating Manny Amaria.
I should say Kira Soltari. The needs of the Manny Connish outweigh the needs of the few.
Greater than great, Master Nate.
The real boss, Matt Robinson.
Max Kurt Wallander Wallen.
Michael Mark for Life Plowman.
He stole Sue's van, Mr. E.
The Batsman, Nathan Baddy.
Probably better than Philip O'Reilly.
The man who wears the gold, the man recognised by SWAF Nation International as the 24/7 champion, our legend.
Mr. Moneybags, Rich Holt.
Daylight Robbery, Rob James.
Bebop and Rob Steedley.
De Farm General, Roman Dietrich.
Ross Pooper Scooper Cooper.
Rue the Day, Rory O'Brien Kelly.
Hello, ladies. It's Ryan Zandez.
The man with the scoops, Sean.
Hear me roar, Siratulion.
And lastly, for this Hall of Fame class, this bumper Hall of Fame class, on Tuesday the 17th of December, the torrential tribute, Spencer Vaughnhagen.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here today. Go over to the WrestleTalk news channel where you can watch news on all of the TNA departure stuff. Big mass exodus of talent there. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen. DAD. Jam that jam and
Jam
Merry
that jam.
Christmas.